now.
All right, guys, we're getting into part two of dating, and we're getting all into the nitty gritty today, all into the actual experience of dating, from the dating apps to the actual date experience, how to deal with different personality types, what things to look out for. I feel like I am the voice of the listener here. I'm in such a weird place with dating right now, so I am in no means by trying to come across as an expert, but I love to just open up the conversation and talk, because I feel like the more we talk about these things, the more awareness we have as a collective, right? And Elle has so much good advice. So I'm going to start off. Why don't we start off with something fun? Let's talk about dating apps.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I've been on all of them. I'm on a couple of them right now. First of all, let's talk about a couple of the websites. So the main websites for dating are like Match.com, eHarmony. There's also JDate, and then there's like farm singles. I mean, there's a Christian singles. So there's a million different categories. Those are usually paid sites, and what they allow for is more photos and more information. The apps only allow for like 40 characters, so you got to really sum up so if you want more of a profile, and the online sites, and they also have apps, of course, but when you pay for those too, you're able to kind of check off more categories, right? Like want kids, not kids, smoker, all these kind of things. So you get a little bit more information up front about the person on those sites. The other side to think about is this: if someone's paying for it, they're probably serious. Okay, that's not to say that people on the free sites are not serious, but it's to say,
Yep, good point.
that. Now, eHarmony is a weird one. They used to be, back in the day, like it was a really bad site, and it was considered like for Christians only kind of thing, and then it completely changed. And that is weird because you're not picking people. You get matches whenever they find them, and it may not be to your liking. And they are more expensive, and it's like a longer process. However, the people on eHarmony seemingly are like probably the more real serious marriage-minded type of folks. So there are that. Then there's as far as the apps go, I mean, of course, there's Tinder, and everyone's heard about that. Now, can you find real love on Tinder? Absolutely. But it was really considered kind of like a hookup site and things like that. And all of them are, okay? So all of them are still, if you're that person, then they're going to be used for that. So it's not like anyone on but so Bumble is one that is an interesting one. It's for women, where women make the first move. So you swipe and you do those things. And if someone swipes you and you swipe them, you're a match, but you make the first move. And that was an interesting concept to make women feel a little bit more comfortable about not getting bombarded on their inbox by guys. Because if you're on a dating site, you can get emailed by anyone who can see your profile. The other thing too is, on the dating sites that you pay for, like Match and eHarmony and, maybe some others, you get to choose who sees you. You can pay extra to be like, I want to be anonymous until I pick someone, and the moment I message them, then they can see my profile. So you can sort of remain anonymous if you're worried about family, friends, workplace, things like that. So there's that option that's a lot more prevalent on the actual like paid sites like Match and eHarmony and JDate or other things, versus like Bumble and things like that. When you're on there and anyone can see you. So if you want to be hidden to some degree for whatever reason, then you're going to want to choose one of the main sites. So that's how Bumble works. And then there's Hinge, which is very similar to like Tinder and Bumble. Again, it's matches, swiping, choosing. So we don't need to get into the logistics of it because they're pretty self-explanatory, but these are a bunch of options. I've had friends who've gotten out of marriages for a long time and were back in the dating scene that felt more comfortable doing Bumble because they just didn't want to get, because if you're on Match.com, you'll get an email from a 65-year-old halfway across the country like, hey, I know I'm not, and you're like, oh my God, dude, like I love your chutzpah and your balls, but you're 67 years old. Like it's probably not going to work out for me. Although for some, so that's what and I want to say this too. You're gonna get a lot of that. Don't let that poo-poo you. You're gonna get emails from people you don't find attractive. You're gonna get emails that are, look, you're dealing with the general public, okay? So you're gonna have some weird stuff. Before we get into maybe, because I have a lot of thoughts on like how to write a profile or how the first dates work, I would just say this about online dating. Don't engage with crazies or weirdos or whatever. Like, for example, classic example, someone like emailed me. If someone emails you and you're not interested in their profile, you just don't respond at all. You don't need to say, thank you very much, I'm not interested, or I don't think we're a good match. No, done. No, fucking out the window.
You don't owe them anything.
You owe them shit.
And we've learned this from being on social media. I'm like, I don't have to respond to you.
don't have to
Ever.
respond to you.
And if there's been 3 times where I didn't respond to you and you're still reaching out, you're getting blocked.
And you can do that on the dating apps too. You can block or report the person or whatever, right? And then the other part of that too is, so like, for example, one time there was a black guy and he emailed me and I didn't email him back. And then the next email was, oh, so you don't like black guys? Oh my God, right? Now that would fire me up because first of all, my last boyfriend was half black. So it's like, are you, but again, I'm all fired up. I'm offended. Like, I'm not enraged. Like, how am I going to engage in that? No, I'm not. And also, what a terrible response from that guy. Like, really, you bringing race into this, you fucking idiot. So, that just whole thing, like, you're going to get stuff like that where you're going to feel the need to defend or respond or whatever. No, you don't engage. You don't engage.
And by the way, questions like that, I mean, it's such a red flag. Like, he's already putting you on the defense. He's like,
and accusing me.
You. Like, that's how you want to start this thing off on that note. Like, and that goes back to our last conversation. If a guy is like trying to rope you in by you getting on the defense and be like, oh, hey, I'm so silly. Oh yeah, with some sort of insult, like, that's the precedent you want to start with your relationship off on? I don't think so. I want to add a little something about Bumble. So I admit, like, I was so terrified. For anybody out there who is terrified to get on dating apps, I was like, there is no freaking way I am doing that. And a friend of mine actually like sat down with me. He was a guy friend. He sat down. He's like, you should just get on, just try it. And I was like, had such a bad attitude and I'm like swiping left on everybody. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. He's like, whoa, what about that guy? He looked cool. I'm like, nope. And then finally I did it. I've probably been out with like, I don't know, 4 or 5 guys really only truly from Bumble, but they have all been amazing people, like totally good guys. I would say some of the best guys I've dated, I have met on Bumble. So like, it's not something to be written off. It's something that scares you. Don't write it off. And you can kind of tell it's like actually a really good test for your intuition, like, can you get a vibe for somebody? And also it's a good test for how well you're able to set boundaries. Can you, once you realize this is not a good situation for me, can you then set up the boundaries and say, I'm sorry, this isn't working for me. Right. So for me, it's been like a really positive experience, even though I don't use it a ton. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. And Bumble is very safe.
Yeah. It's very safe for women. Let me tell you this. I met a cousin I didn't know I had on Match.com and we were about to go on a date. A cousin. Wow. I never knew existed. I met a family member online, guys. Like, what? Now that was weird. It's a good thing we figured that out before we even met in person. And it's funny because that was like 10 years ago. And occasionally I'll text him like every couple of years and I'll be like, hey dude, remember when we met on Match.com? And then we called our families and we were like, why didn't anyone alert? Like, Elle's in LA, Corbin's in LA. Maybe we should, their family. No, we met on Match instead. So, hey, you never know. You might meet a relative you didn't know you had.
Hey, another thing real quick too, is I had a friend in a mastermind and it's a really very high level person. And he's like, do you know how many business deals I have cut from dating off dating apps? He's like, I'm not going out for that reason, but I've made a lot of really amazing professional connections too, just meeting people through these things. But I thought that's a great way of looking at it. Not for that end, but to see that there's other things that, it's more about like making connections and getting to know people. It doesn't have to be this, like, just because I go out with you, it means we're in a relationship now. You know what I mean? It can just be a way to explore and meet people and connect. And I do think it's important to get that point across right in the beginning. This is why I say I'm in a little bit of a weird place, because I haven't been going out with people because I'm not interested in jumping into a long-term commitment right now. So I feel like I have no business dating and getting into that situation when that's not really what's on the docket for me. So I don't know. I'm still trying to start. I'm
you could always check the like something casual.
But I don't want hookups either. Okay, so it's like a real dangerous place to be. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I feel like, maybe, I don't know if you have insight on that, but it's a tough place to be when it's like, I would like to like just go hiking with somebody or just like make friends and like connect and like, just see maybe. But then there's this whole like right now, my focus is building my business and my kids. And I've learned that right now, because that's such a huge weight on my time, that when I date, I get really stressed out, super stressed out. I feel like I have no personal time for myself at all. It's like all kids and business to all business and boyfriend, all kids and business, and it's just like, it feels like no time for me. So like right now I'm
Well, and
just
that's the
honoring
beauty
that.
of these apps, though. You can go on and off. You
Yeah.
can snooze it. Listen, I mean,
Right.
I've been on sometimes for 3 months, maybe talked to a few people, didn't meet anybody. I'm whatever. I'm busy with something else. I go off it. I'm not into it. And then I get back on. I mean, again, it's you can get
Yeah.
on anytime you want.
Yeah.
I wanna point out a couple things that I think are really important for online dating. I would say never, ever, ever meet with anybody if you have not spoken to them on the phone. End of story. There will be guys that will text you and be
Seriously.
like, you go back and forth on a few texts. They're like, hey, want to meet for a drink next Friday? No. So you talk to them first. Are you gonna get the makeup on and do the thing and go out and then realize something you could have figured out in 2 minutes on a phone
True.
call, hearing something's voice? What a waste of time. So stop doing that. That's really
So
going to
true.
sour your whole thing. I have spoken to more people than I have met for a reason. I've had 2-hour conversations with people that were fantastic, still didn't get the vibe I wanted to meet them. That's okay. I'm glad I talked to them though. For
Right,
2 hours.
totally.
I've also spoken to people that weren't good on the phone. It wasn't like a huge in-depth conversation, but like I said last time, I got a vibe and there was something there's something through the phone and the voice you're
Yep.
going to hear.
Energy.
The energy.
Totally.
So get to that as soon as possible. So here's the thing.
Totally.
Texting back and forth. Now, guys, in this day and age, I really do appreciate the guy that's just bold enough to go, hey, I'd love to have a phone conversation. Can I call you? But
Right.
I think guys in this age are like treading lightly, the Me Too, everything else. They're kind of not sure. They want to like make sure the lady's comfortable, that kind of thing. So when you're, let's say you meet on an app or you're texting, after a few exchanges where you're like, okay, they're not a psycho, then I literally get to the phone call as soon as possible. And it's something like, hey, I'd love to, let me know if you'd like to have a phone conversation sometime. I really prefer that over texting.
Right.
And then wait to see what happens. Great. They might say, well, great, here's my number. You can give me yours or whatever. And you always give them your number. Let the guy call you.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're talking about right now, straight men and straight women on that one, in terms of that. So always do that. There's such a vibe you're going to get over the phone that's going to be so awkward in person. And then also, too, if you have a good vibe over the phone and you've had a nice conversation, it makes that first date so much more comfortable, and you're already feel like you know them a little bit. You've spoken to them. Of course, don't ever tell anyone your address. And, that needs, I don't think we even need to say that, but let's do that. You meet
Yeah.
people in public.
Right.
Now, people are always like, okay, so this is kind of a thing in LA, too. A lot of girls... I'm not looking for a free dinner. In fact, I don't want to have dinner with you on the first date because I'm going to probably know in the first few minutes whether I have any kind of sexual
Totally.
physical chemistry. And it's not that I'm going to feel bad because you paid for my dinner. I'm not going to feel like I owed you something, but there's a weird thing about like now we're
Totally.
sitting through a frickin' dinner. So do what makes you feel comfortable. I've had hiking dates that have been great. I have, but again,
Coffee is great.
I didn't go into the woods alone with someone I didn't already meet first or whatever, right? But yeah, coffee date or, again, could be a drink even if it's not alcohol in the evening. Something simple. Set it up so that there's an out and it's like only 45 minutes an hour and you can get out
Totally.
of there if you need to.
Totally.
So that's what I have to say about some of the logistics there. But get to the phone call as soon as possible. And on that note, this is what I noticed that women, especially if they haven't dated a lot and they're online, there's some cute guy and they're back and forth. No one gets to be your free freaking, boyfriend for like 10 months, like this fake texting relationship that never goes anywhere. Waste of time, waste
Yep.
of energy and emotion when you could be pursuing
Totally.
that towards someone that's actually in real life. And I'm sure you've heard this from ladies too, Tara, but that is such a thing. It's like, no, you don't get to be we're not boyfriend, girlfriend here over time. I haven't even met you. So keep the texting light in between meeting this person. Keep it
Totally.
light. You don't have to respond to every damn thing. We don't have to be into thing. And also that's kind of a red flag. If a guy's texting me every 5 seconds and he wants to call me every, 2 hours and we haven't even met yet and it's a week before I'm going to meet him, you know what I mean? So the communication, I think, keep it light and chill until you meet and then you can move forward. It's like the texting
Yeah.
thing just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, let's talk about the profile, setting up your profile. Any advice there? I have some advice for guys.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of advice for guys on this one too.
Okay. This is, of course, my opinion. One of the things that I find very, 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 very bizarre on dating apps, and of course, this is mainly just Bumble for me, is when guys post a bunch of pictures with a bunch of hot chicks, with women. What is that? Are you trying to send this subliminal message that you only date hot chicks, or like you're trying to make yourself look better by being in pictures with all these hot chicks? It is the weirdest thing. It is the biggest turnoff. It's like,
Yes.
oh, cool.
Thank
He
you.
gets around. Okay, not interested. I mean, it is like it's the opposite effect. I think that they're trying to have. That one is such a weird. I saw one recently where a guy had a picture with, I'm pretty sure, I'm guessing was the chick that he wrote in his bio just got out of a 4 year long relationship, and the main
Here she
picture is
is.
him with this woman. And I'm like, what's happening? Is he trying to use this to see if she sees him on here? I don't know what's happening, but like, I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but like, first of all, if you've dated somebody who's straight out of a relationship, it's a little bit hard. So I don't know if it's like, maybe you just need to go on a little walkabout for a minute until you're ready. But the posting pictures with chicks is weird. Also, I find it very bizarre when guys post their main picture is like a bunch of dudes. What is that? Like, or him and his friends. Like, I mean, sure, but like, it's, you're swiping. It's like, let me see who you are. Also not showing yourself. That makes me sad. That makes me sad when like every single picture of the guy has sunglasses and a hat, and you can like only barely see his side profile, and it's like all from a distance. It's like, dude, it's okay. Just show us who you are. We just want to see who you are. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be crazy impressive. It's like just a regular old picture of yourself. I appreciate people so much that just post a regular picture of themselves and like, this is me, So anyway, the weird pictures, sometimes they can get real interesting.
Yeah, or if you see a guy who all of his photos, like, if this kills me, them in front of their Porsche, nope.
That is,
Because here's the thing, that's what, what they're saying? They're so freaking insecure. They have to be like,
yes,
look at what I got. And guess what? Then what's
exactly.
going to happen? They're going to get like one of these gold digging chicks, and then they're going to be like, damn it, I want people to love me
I
for
know.
me. Well, you know what? Fuck you. You just put out like, and also
Exactly.
that just says so much about like, if you have to tell people who you are, that's an insecurity thing. So, unless you're
Yes.
looking for that, hey, great, then that's your guy.
If
But-
you're exactly,
but that's
it,
it. And so the posting pictures of the women, I want to get back to that. Yes, don't post pictures of you with your girlfriends unless it's your sister and you say me and my sister. Okay, that's the end of the story. But other than that, too, please take all photos down of you partying at a bar at Mardi Gras. Okay, like, because I'm just going to be like, this is a drunk ass piece of garbage, and you may not be. Maybe that was just one fun time and you do that 3 times a year, but it's the first impression. We're living in a first impression world here, so
it's a very first impression environment. That's what it is.
It's all it is, right? So that's like, I always see that, I'm like, oh, dude, you're that guy. Like, who wants to date that guy, right?
Or like the duck lips and the pants pulled down to almost show all your junk. Like any chick who's self-respecting, it's like, thank you for showing me that side of yourself so I know to move on, because it's just like the car. It's like, I don't mind if you have a nice body, like, sure, and you want to show it, you want to do the body shot, you're at the lake or the beach or whatever, like, cool, like, that's super, totally beyond fine. But it's like these like really, really gross, provocative, like overly sexual pictures where you're almost showing all your stuff. To me, like, that is a major signal. It's just like the Porsche. It's like like, it almost breaks my heart. It almost breaks my heart, because I'm like, oh, he feels like he has to do that to get women to like him. And he's also probably looking for hookups. I mean, my brain immediately goes to, he just wants to have sex through this app. So now I know to move on, So like, just
And
like,
by the way, there are like women don't have this particular problem I'm going to mention, but guys do, because I have a bunch of guy friends that have been online for years. There are a ton of hookers on these sites, and the way you would tell, guys can tell through their profiles, they'll say in their profile, like, contact me at da-da-da-da-da at whatever, right? Okay, look, so they're already dodging. Guys are having to deal with that. We don't have to deal with gigolos trying to like get money from us for sex, right? So
wow.
so guys are dodging that. So they are more skeptical of like, is this chick real? And that's why you do post a lot of photos. So here's the thing that I've learned over the years. Guys will lie about their height. Women will lie, and a little bit of age. Women will lie about literally what the fuck they look like. So let's talk about this. I had a friend who went on a date with a woman. She only had photos from here and up. She looked really pretty. He met her. She was like 400 pounds. But she said she was athletic. That was her body type in there. Okay, so she lied. She didn't have an athletic.
Yeah.
She should have put large or whatever that check category was for her body type. And he showed up and he's like, listen, I don't mean to be rude here, but you said you were athletic and you're not representing yourself right. And her whole thing was like, people are so shallow, whatever. Yeah, we are in a first impression world. Okay. So if you are feeling that insecure about yourself, that you feel like you have to trick someone, guess what? You're going to go meet them in person. They're going to see who you are. And then the first impression you're giving is that you're a freaking liar and you're insecure about who you are. Show yourself. Show a full body shot of some kind. Doesn't need to be in a bikini. I don't show those kind of, show what you look like. Be like, this is who I am. If someone doesn't like you for who you are, F them anyway. So show your best of you.
Seriously. And what you want, that moment in person where they're actually disappointed, like you want to put yourself through that?
Yeah, like that's comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay,
so that happens. So guys lie about height. And so here's the thing. There are some experts that would say, oh, well, the algorithms on these sites, like if you're 50, no one looks at it, so make yourself 47, but then say it in your profile.
Oh, wow.
I'm one of these people where I'm like, no, if you are not secure, because look, I'm 46, I could pass for 10 years younger than I am, and I don't, because that's just freaking lying. Okay, it's just lying. But I could, but I don't. So I don't.
But wait, why would you want to? Because like for me, like I think I have like 5 years younger than me in the app, and even those guys, like I kind of struggle. I'm like, oh, it's just the maturity isn't quite there for me. So like, I mean, sometimes, you know, but for the most part, I'm like, oh, like I can just tell that I'm in a different place than you're in. And
it's also again a first impression that like, oh, you felt the need to lie about this. And even though it's somewhat innocent, that's not a good first impression.
No,
because it
it's
also
not
is
at
saying
all.
you're not comfortable in being your age and who you are. You know what I mean? And so that says a lot about a person too. But I do know that some people have been given that advice. If they say it right away, you know, like in their profile, like, hey, it says 50, I'm actually, 55. You can make your own decision. I'm still a little bit weary about that, but it's when they completely lie and then you're on a phone call with them and then you find out they're literally like another age, because it's like you're a liar, and now I don't know if I can trust you, and we're in this first impression world and this is the first impression I'm getting. It's not a good one to give, and the same goes for how you look and who you are. So you don't just post one photo, you post several. Of course, take off the sunglasses, show a full body picture. It could be you in a dress, nice event. I'm not saying you have to show any skin, but just show people who you are, because the person that clicks or swipes or whatever is going to be like, they like you for what you already truly are.
Exactly. That's what you want. You want to attract that. You don't want to attract somebody who's falling in love with this idealized Snapchat filter version of yourself, and I've really, I've seen this a lot. It really makes me sad. Like, now granted, I do use filters on social media, but I don't use filters that are like, they change my eye shape and my nose shape and my, you know what I mean? They're just like a color filter, but it makes me kind of sad. It's like, when I see that, I'm like, what's wrong with your eyes? What's wrong with your nose? Like, you look beautiful the way you are. And so like, ladies, if you're doing all this crazy filtering thing, like if you haven't had a Facebook profile picture, let's say, even on a basic level on Facebook, if you haven't had a profile picture in a long time that doesn't just show your face, like, girl, you got some deep love work to do. You are beautiful. I promise. Women are beautiful. They are beautiful. And there's like all sorts of people that are attracted to different kind of looks. And you want someone who's attracted to your look, so you can be without your makeup and you can be in your ratty old t-shirt and your person's like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Like, that's what you want to attract, so please, can we please stop with all the fake, because it's really, it's very reflective of a deeper seated issue within ourselves, but it's also setting ourselves up for disaster.
100% setting yourself up for failure and disappointment. Let's see on the looks thing. Okay, so writing profiles. All right, so here's the thing. This is what is a bummer, is when you see a profile by someone and all that's in it is ripping on being online, right? Like, right? So you see the negativity. Yeah, like, I can't believe I'm on here. You're too cool to be here, but you know what? You're fucking here. We're all here. Everyone's here. So shut it. And then and then you can kind of see someone's personality through there. If they're like, I guess I would say, you don't talk about anything that you didn't like that happened to you before in dating, right? So you don't be like, I'm looking for a guy that can actually, really support.
Oh my gosh, the moods.
Right, the mood. Just say who you are and what you're looking for in a positive way, not in the antithetical way. I actually have some deal breakers on my profile. politics are very polarizing right now. It's been a thing on dating apps. They have written articles about it where people are like, if you support our president, swipe left. Hey, listen, that's cool. Know where you are, stand there. Know where you stand there. And if it's that important to you, put something like that so that you're not on date number 3 and you find out that you have completely different worldviews in this person and you hate them now because whatever it is. So, you got to really think about that stuff. And there are boxes like that on some of the things where it might check that they're conservative or liberal or whatever. Right. And, you can investigate that as much as you can. But be as honest with who you are. And also, too, if someone's looking for something casual and you're looking for marriage, again, we talked about this last time, you're not going to change that person. Mm-hmm. If they say they definitely want kids someday or put someday and you definitely don't, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that sometimes people will put demands. Like it'll say must fill in the blank.
Right.
And, I find that very bizarre, but I'm like, hey, and the one I see a lot is must love dogs. And I'm like, well, I love dogs. But the fact that you like, whoa, like the fact that you took this limited amount of space to say that, I mean, that is like really important to you. So thanks for letting me know, but like, I find that bizarre a little bit when people have like, kind of offshoot demands like that. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, thanks for letting me know how important that is to you.
Yeah. Cause if someone's allergic to dogs or doesn't really like them, I mean, I've known people who've had a bunch of dogs and they dated someone who's kind of scared of the dogs. And so again, like I understand if it's so important to someone in their life, like, put it on there,
about a personality to them or whatever. And I get that. It's cool. But I think the demands are kind of interesting. It's kind of like, while I appreciate the communication, I also feel like, like maybe just putting something a little more general and positive of who you are and just see what you attract. Because I feel like the more negative energy you put out, the more of that you're going to attract back in. You're almost going to attract people like that, I feel like. And another thing last thing maybe for me on the apps is I really appreciate people who don't take themselves too seriously. So sometimes I'll see guys who have like really comical pictures, like kind of making fun of themselves. Like I saw some guy, he had like a picture of a whole family and he was the head on like the baby and the kids and and it's just funny. Like he's not taking himself too seriously, So sometimes I think that can be kind of fun too. It's like a breath of fresh air almost to not like have to come across like so awesome and just kind of take, cut the chase and just like have fun on it a little bit. So
yeah. Now I don't normally, there is sometimes a choice for you to show your Instagram.
Yeah.
I choose not to. However, I used to have this thing where I didn't want people to know who I was or Google me because I didn't want them to be like overly impressed by this like resume that they see online and stuff. And also I didn't want them to get to know me through like hundreds of interviews like this. Right? I just want them to get to know me for me. I don't want them to like read all my books and do all their, reconnaissance mission and then like be like, oh, I know her because this is me in my work mode, right? This is us being alpha in our work mode. And so, it's like, how would they feel if I taped a conference that they had at the bank and during their job? Would they want that to be reflective of them? But what I've also learned too is that people have to be comfortable with you and I being in public and being the public eye and doing what we do. Yeah. So what I do is it's like I'll get to it. And now I have no shame about being like, look, just Google me. If you're not comfortable with me being out there doing what I'm doing, it's never going to work anyway. But at the same time, I try to limit that first before I speak to them a few times. They still may Google your phone number and find you or whatever. But again, it's your choice on whether you want your Instagram to be public at that point. I choose not to and let them, they can see it later if they want, once they figure out my last name or whatever. So it's whatever your comfortability is. I have a friend who is very out on Instagram and is doing lots of bikini shots and the whole thing. And they have a great profile and they're very open about like, here's my shit. Like, you don't like it, you're not cool with it, then whatever. I'm also not on there to get followers, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not there to try. So I know some people are.
Really?
I think so, I think there's a little bit of that. So
I think for me, I do have mine on there. And part of that is because I'm a mom and I have kids and it's all over on my stories and whatever. And like, if they want to check that out and see what the scoop is before they make a decision, like, I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
And I might do that too, just to alleviate all the stuff. Like you go do your spying first, and then if you come back, then you're okay with what I do. Like, and
this is who I am.
I might change that. So I want to talk a little bit about so the sarcasm on profiles. Stating what you want. Also too, so I'm very clear on my profile. Like if you really know what you're looking for, like I am looking for someone who's looking for their future wife.
Yep.
I put it on there.
Beautiful.
Great. If you don't want it and you're the guy that's hooking up, awesome. I had one guy that emailed me and said, I love your profile. It's great. But you know what? I've been married. I don't want to be married again. And I just, you had such a great profile. You wrote such a nice message. I just want to let you know. Great. I don't want that. So,
Yeah.
But thankfully they're being honest and not trying to be someone they weren't just to get a date with me.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about, so here's the thing. If you have a complicated story about your ex, I don't care if it's an ex-boyfriend, ex-baby mama, ex-husband, because some people do. Like, I married a guy, he became a drug addict, he lost all of our stuff, we had to go to court, okay, all that stuff, right? There's some people that have these stories. I have friends that have these stories. And this is what I tell them. Get your elevator pitch together. Get your and then you're over it. Because you're not going to sit there and ramble on and get into that whole mess of a story of the drama that was. Now we're just talking drama for drama across a table while you're sitting on a date. The ex discussions have to go quickly. So get your pitch together, get your couple of minutes, right? Like, hey, this happened. And you know what? Now I'm here and it's all good and we have a great relationship. Or, we're still friendly, but, just be honest. Like if someone's, but complaining about an ex, but you also you want to ask some questions. I actually ask questions when people are like, oh, I was married, but I'm divorced. I always say, well, without going too much into personal detail, can you tell me like what the overall theme of is why you got divorced? You'll learn a lot. Sometimes people are like, my ex was a meth addict and I had to take care of my children. Oh my God. Okay. Well, let's learn more about that. Then I learned in that same conversation that the meth addict ex was still like back and forth with the kids, hurting the thing, a drug addict, a boyfriend shows up at the house and I'm like, do I want to get fucking involved in this? Like, it'll tell you a lot about how they're controlling and what their boundaries are. And so there was a scenario where just a couple of questions led me to go, I don't know that I want to get involved with someone that's still having actual active problems with a meth addict mother.
Yeah. And it's, you know what? That's a great
point.
Me.
That's just me.
Right. No, you don't, Elle. But here's the other thing. Another reason why it's important to get this elevator pitch, and I think that's such great advice, is because I didn't do this. I had a crazy, crazy ex-boyfriend. It was a crazy experience, and I didn't know how to get it concise. I was like, dude, I don't even know where to start. Like, it is freaking nuts. And I totally talked about it way too much. Guilty. And the reason I love your advice there is because it's actually can be very healing for you. It helps you get clarity on what exactly happened there without having to go into some big, huge emotional journey. And what I found is that really not being able to be concise about it was really me trying to avoid the punch. It was me trying to avoid those emotional moments that have the punch that comes with the conciseness. It's like, well, hold on. Let me give you a whole bunch of background information so you understand that, this thing wasn't my fault because of this or whatever. And that's a terrible place to be. Like, that's what doing the work of Byron Katie helped me get to the place of like, yeah, I was making these choices because I hadn't healed from this. And then I got into that and then it was over, and I learned a lot from it and he learned a lot from it and now we've all moved on. Right. But before I got to that place where I could own my part in it, it was this big old long dragged out story and I wasn't healed. Right. So maybe, just maybe, my sister just went out with a guy like not too long ago and she said that he, they went for a walk and he spent the whole thing talking about his ex-wife, and I was just like, oh, I'm like, yeah, he's in that place. Like, he's just not healed from that yet. Like, I don't know if you want, and so just know, like, cause I've dated people that were fresh out of relationships. And I think you kind of learn that it's like, whoa, they're still in the middle of almost like the dark night of their soul. They're in like the middle of major healing. So, it's just kind of an indicator on both ends. Like if you're talking about it a lot, about your past relationships, you're still in your healing. And if you're dating somebody that's talking about it a lot, they're still in their healing. And it's a good thing to know. And it's like, do you want to get involved in that? And maybe, just maybe for the person going through the healing, like me, the person who's the one going on and on about past relationship, maybe you should take a little bit more time off to deal with those emotions. Go see somebody, go talk about it. Because obviously you're still in your place, like you're stuck in your mental place. So go talk to somebody who can be an outside lens for you to call you on your BS. Because when we get caught in these cycles, it's hard to get out sometimes, right? So go to somebody, go through your healing, because then guess what happens? That's what I did. And now it doesn't have to be this big old thing. It's like, nah, and like every once in a while a story will come up and they're like, holy shit, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, but it's in the past for me. Like I've healed from it, like blah, blah, blah. It's all good. But before I had to like share all the holy shit it, because for some reason that helped me feel better about myself, that I, it helped me justify the pain that I literally was still in,
Yeah.
so it's a great thing. I love that piece of advice, is like, get concise, get an elevator pitch
Get
for
your quick spiel, and then you're on
divorce
to
or whatever.
immediately asking them another question, right? And that's the thing too, is so how do you get out of that? Aside from, okay, like, what do you do for work? Where were you? Like, what was it like growing up? Or like, what was it like growing up where you live? Things that are open ended. What's your favorite comedy? Like, what are some of your favorite movies or whatever? Things that are fun, that are interesting, that get to know a little bit about the personality, that can light them up. Nobody wants to, like, if you were sitting here telling me about Jane's drama with a boyfriend that I didn't know, no one wants to hear that unless there's a point to it. I'll hear it. But so that's what that becomes, is just like everyone's in a and it's really low vibration. You leave those dates and you're like, ew, all we did was just like rip on each other's ex, and it all shows these negative. It's just so gross.
Yeah.
So get away from that as much as humanly possible. And like you said, you need still some healing if you are still charged up that you're ripping on this. And also too, people can be a victim. Like, people can tell you, oh, my ex-wife's crazy or whatever. Guess what? They might not be. They might be the fucking crazy one. So take everything at face value. Watch how they act over time, and just see, because maybe they're not telling the truth about that situation either. So just don't get embroiled in these conversations, is what those really are, actually. I also say, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, let's move this into the actual like date experience,
Yeah.
right? So like, one thing is, something I've learned on social media is, why am I sharing something? What's in it for them? This is like the key to conversation. What is in it for them? They, like, if I'm going to tell something personal about myself, the underlying purpose of that should be for the person who's listening. Like, not for me to just vent all my stuff and blah, 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 and just go on. It's boring. It's like, makes people's eyes glaze over. So if you're going to share a personal story, like, help it be connective. The point of whatever you're sharing is to connect with the person in the moment, not to just have somebody just listen to you. Like, that's almost, in my opinion, just treating people like a doormat. It's actually using people. It's like hijacking their emotions so you can relive this experience and get whatever. It's like, it's more of a getting energy. If I'm going to share a selfie of myself looking super sexy on Instagram just because I want to get the likes and I want to show how sexy I look or whatever, that is a getting energy. It's, I need this. I need this from you guys because I have lack in myself here. And so when we're in conversations on dates, this is like a basic of conversation is, what's in it for them? And ask, you be the one who asks questions, ask lots of questions, get curious. It helps people feel so happy to talk about themselves. Don't be the person who just sits there and like goes on and on and on about yourself, as much as possible. Of course,
I've been on a date or even a phone call. I actually had a phone call recently with a guy, and he literally didn't ask me barely anything about myself the entire time.
Right. And
so I just kept asking questions. Right? And guess what? I learned a ton about him. And you know what? Yeah, it's a super turn on. You're like, you don't even, yeah. So ask a lot of questions. The more you inquire and let people talk, people will tell you who they are. They will tell you who they are. Sometimes right on the profile. There was some guy's profile one time I read. I almost wanted to take a screenshot, but I shared it with friends. It was so hilarious. In it, he talked about how like his house was a mess and how he was so angry he had to pay child support. And it was hilarious. It was like everything you shouldn't do, but you're like, thanks for letting us all know.
For letting me know.
Thanks for the warning. And I will say to this on okay, so let's see. Okay, so people who have been married that are okay. There's a lot of people who will say that they're divorced even though they're separated. And you have to see where you are okay with this. For example, I'm not okay at all dating anyone that's separated. I want them to be clean out of that whole drama of whatever it is with separating an entire household and whatever it is with their ex-wife. Mm-hmm. I want someone who's clean and ready. So that happens sometimes. So because they know this, they'll put divorce because they know women. So, ask that question, like, how long have you been divorced? They will usually be like, well, actually, I'm not. You got to make your decision there. And I told the guy on the phone, I go, why'd you lie about that? He goes, well, because a lot of people, it's like the same thing. Well, people won't choose an age range. But yeah, but now you're kind of a liar. Your first impression that you gave me is that you're not comfortable with your status, which is that you're separated and still working it out. You're not technically divorced. And the other side of it, too, is that people who are recently divorced or out of a long-term relationship The relationship right after that, it's usually not the one. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions, but especially people that are married, they're not going to want to get married right away, usually, right? You know this, you're feeling it now. So
Yep.
usually what I've seen with friends and people I've spoken to, the first relationship out of a long-term marriage for that person usually is not the lasting one. It doesn't work. Not because it's a rebound, just because there's wrong choices, they're new in the game again or whatever. You have to look at that seriously if you are thinking about, and by the way, guys know this too. People know this because I've had these conversations where men have said, yeah, I've only been divorced 8 months, and I went out with a woman, and she was like, yeah, you haven't been divorced long enough and had enough relationships. So ask them, like, have you had any serious relationships since your divorce? That
Yeah.
might make a decision. If a guy's been divorced for a couple of years, but he had a couple of decent, okay. So just something to look out for, and it's not impossible. It's not to say that you are the first person they'll meet at 2 months out of a marriage and it'll be a hit, and that's great. It's just these are legit things that are common themes.
Yeah. And let me share from my own personal experience and what I've seen friends and guys I've dated like go through. If you are coming out of a really long-term relationship, like a marriage, and let's say you're in my boat, like where I got married when I was 20. So, I mean, it was like I married the first guy in college, and now here I am in my 30s dating again, and I've like never dated really, And so, what I found was that I wanted to jump right into another relationship to justify the divorce in a certain way. It was like, oh, all this happened so I could meet him, and this is all so perfect, and now I understand why it all happened. And I've seen that happen a lot. It's kind of this desire to refill the cup that's just been emptied. It's like, but this one's better. So it's like now it's almost this desire to like play house and like get back into stability and to fill the wound. It really is. It's that rebound can be sometimes filling the wound. And what I would say is if you are recently coming out of a marriage or a really long-term relationship, like I really advise committing to yourself that you're going to date like 10 people, because that urge to like just jump right in with the first one is probably going to be really high. It is, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. This person is providing for me all those things that I wasn't feeling at the end of my marriage. Like they're all about me. They think I'm so amazing. Like I think they're so amazing. This feels so good. I haven't felt this in a decade or whatever it is for you. That temptation to just dive right in is going to be super, super strong. So I'd say like maybe make a little micro commitment to like date at least 10 people or something like that, and then come back around and see, because you're going to gain a lot of wisdom in that process.
Yeah, or here's the other problem too. You've had a few dates with someone, it's great, and then suddenly you're like, that's great, I'm not talking or meeting any more people, this is the one, and then 2 weeks later they're not, because you found out something that was like, And so again, listen, and it's until it's spoken, it's open, like I say, and you keep it open. And I have my friend Cindy Lee wrote a book called 4-Man Plan, and it's basically about like, okay, this guy's like a quarter of a man over here. This guy, like until you meet your full person, be open, do what's right for you. I also want to say something about you and I talked about this briefly, but okay, so you and I are two strong alpha females, and there's probably a lot listening as well. So this is what you'll get from people like, well, maybe you intimidate guys, or okay, so no, because every guy that has ever loved me loves me for who I am. Okay, so when you hear that from some parent or something else, no. But here's the other side of that too. For example, and maybe you've gotten this as well. If someone finds out what I do in the course of a phone call, like I mentioned paleo or ancestral health or any of these things, and then someone's like, oh my God, paleo, and then they like want to talk about it, now I'm back in my work mode and I'm like lecturing about paleo, or they want to learn about it. So I try to get out of these conversations as much as possible, because the moment they're like, well, tell me about that or whatever, again, I have an elevator pitch for it. And then I'm like, yeah, if you're interested, you can always go to Mark's Daily Apple or look up Primal Blueprint, because I don't want to be sitting there being the like authority lecturer in this position of like domination, which is what that is. Like you're the student, I'm the teacher. And so I have found that too. So it doesn't even matter what your work thing is,
good.
but like, so it, and then I'm just in that mode, and then it feel like there's no polarization there. This is
such great advice for any coach. As soon as it starts, or maybe you're a teacher or you're in some sort of position of teaching and dating, I have found that so true. I'm like, what's going on here? Why do I feel like a coach right now? Like, I don't like, this is not sexy. This doesn't feel, I don't mind sharing information, but you're exactly right. Like me coming in kind of this authoritative role or whatever, it just feels blah, And so
then I regret it every time. And I'm like, why didn't I just cut that off at the 3 sentence this is about paleo and move on, because, anyone who knows Tara and I knows we get fired up about this topic. I'll go on all day long about it. You don't even get me started on the food pyramid, right? So if someone brings something like that up, I'm more inclined to like go into a thing. And I found that is just ew, and it's weird, and it's really not the dynamic I want with my guy. And it also, again, is me in my alpha work mode, not in my softened, like polarized feminine kind of mode. And so again, I think like the work stuff, like get out of the details of the work stuff and get onto more interesting questions, about.
And I love that you also took that upon yourself to create the elevator pitch and ways to get out of that. And that you decided, you realized, because I'm definitely guilty of this too, of like going into health mode, health coach Tara way too much, because it's all I think about all day. It's very easy for my conversation to go that way. So I love that you were like, okay, no, like it's upon me to just get out of this as quickly as possible. I love that ownership.
Yeah, that's like just really, it's awkward, and it doesn't feel sexy at all. Like you said, it feels so, it's like, oh, now I'm just, this dynamic is fucking weird. The other thing too, okay, so this is a big one, and this happened recently, which I thought was really great. Okay, well, we probably should talk about health in a second on this one too. This might be a little bit of a longer podcast. Okay, so birthdays, holidays, Valentine's Days. Okay. As you're getting into a relationship and it's starting to go somewhere and you're having more intimate conversations, one of the best conversations for any long-term relationship you could possibly have is literally just bringing up at any given moment, unless it's like on the day of a holiday, but like, hey, how do you feel about things like, Valentine's Day, Easter, like holidays and birthdays? Like, how do you like to celebrate them? And how do you feel about gifts? Like, how do you feel about this? This will alleviate so many problems moving forward in the relationship, because again, a lot of women and a lot of people have expectations. I'm not a mind reader. You might think I want a watch. I don't. I want a spa day. And then you give me that watch and I'm disappointed. Well, guess what? Maybe I need to tell you what kind of gifts I like. Stop testing and setting people up for failure. And this is not about initial dating, but this is about getting to know someone. It's also a question that will help you get to know someone, But that's a hot topic for people. And there's, every Valentine's Day, someone's disappointed because someone do something. Well, guess what? They didn't know. Why don't you tell them what to do, what you want? Hey, honey, here's the thing. Like, I'm big on holidays and birthdays. Like, I'm big on gifts. I'm not. I'm a person that's not a gift person. I'd rather have a wonderful day of like hiking and a meal or something. Everyone's different. So I'm not going to respond if a guy brings me a Gucci bag. It would be totally weird. It would not be something that I would want, or it just wouldn't. So you know what? Not every woman is different. Everyone's dated someone that's different. This is a great question to kind of see how people are about things, and to clear the air so that moving forward in the relationship, you're not suddenly disappointed because they didn't know. And if they know, then you can later on go, hey, you didn't get me a present for my birthday, and like I thought we had that conversation. This is a really important thing for me. For some reason, it makes me feel valued. You may find it stupid, and you may not be a gift person, but I am. Look, all that matters is that you're making your significant other happy, and these are things we can alleviate problems later. So let's do that. So that's always a good way to get to know someone, down the road a little bit.
And it is so good to have that conversation, because like a lot of people, when I have dated people and they tell me that, one of their first top 2 love languages is gifts, I'm like, oh, okay, get ready, Tara. Cause this is probably it's the least important to me. Like, I don't care. It's not, I would way rather go have some epic experience together. Like, a gift is like, cool, thank you, that's super nice. But what I have found, if you date somebody who is a gift giver, if this is their primary love language, they will plan for months ahead of time what they are going to give you for your gift. So one, be ready for that and know that that is an expression of love from them. So you better freaking show up for them when they give it to you, and give them like the reaction that they're hoping for, because that is how they are expressing love. But on the flip side, if you are a gift giver, if that is your primary love language and it is not the primary love language of the person you are with, also know that it doesn't do it for them like it does for you. Okay. One more aspect of that is, if you are dating a gift giver and it's not your love language, you better freaking plan. You better show up. You better start thinking you're going to have to get outside of what seems normal to you, because they are receiving that as love. So if you give them some half-assed thing, they're going to be like, cool, I don't matter to you. It's like, that's how it translates to these people, is like, I don't
Well,
matter
it's good to
you.
get to know your love language. It's free online, the love language.
Yeah.
Find out what yours is. I know what
Yeah.
mine are. And here's the thing too. Like, I love giving gifts, and that's a part of, but that's not my love language, but it's how I express it. So how you express versus what you want can be different, right? And I've given gifts, and I am the person that 3 months ahead of time, I'm thinking of some really unique, amazing shit. Like, I can get really good with it. And then it's kind of fallen on, deaf ears a little bit, because they're not a receiver of gifts. So I think it's important. It is important to have the same love languages, but also to mitigate that. Like, if you know, like you said, someone, like, this is what they want. Okay. Then if you love them, then this is how they this is how they want to be appreciated. Mine's mine is my, like, kind of tied for 3. It's really quality time, words of appreciation, and physical touch.
Yeah.
And for other people, it's acts of service, gift giving. And I am an act of service and gift giving person, but I don't care about those things this way as much as I do the others. So yeah, that's a fun thing to go learn. Anyone can go online for free and check out love languages and see what yours are, and take the little free test about it. I want to, okay, this is an important thing we definitely have to cover, which is STDs. And, look, because we're in this age of, you can die having sex with someone, okay? Do you want to fucking die because of 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes of your life?
Right.
I used to work with people one-on-one who had AIDS in San Francisco 20 years ago, and I watched people it was awful, okay? I worked in hospices with AIDS patients, and while there are treatments for that now, okay, that's great. You have to have this adult conversation. You cannot look at someone and assume, oh, they're clean, or someone says, oh, I got tested, I'm good. Did you? Did you get tested for everything, or did you just get tested for chlamydia and whatever? Did you get tested for AIDS? Did you get tested for hepatitis? This shit can kill you, guys. It can ruin your liver, all right? Herpes is forever, okay?
Yep.
So this can't be just a quick conversation. It has to be a mature thing, unless you're willing to risk it. And if you are, good luck. Don't become and complain to anyone else about it because you took that risk. Now, you can still risk it. Someone could lie to you, and that's why you need to see the piece of paper. So I don't really mess around anymore. If I wait till I get to that point, if I'm going to have sex with someone, it's like, hey, this is a conversation. And I usually bring it up like, hey, I've got an awkward adult conversation that I need to discuss. Like, but hey, we're living in this world. I really care about my health. I care about my sexual health. Look, genital herpes can even lead to things like cancers and other things. There are reasons to not want to get these things. That not to say if you have it, you're pariah too, but you also don't want to spread it. So there's a couple things about this. First of all, you got to get the full panel. Anyone can go to like private MD labs, look up what a full panel looks like. It's not just chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. It is also HIV. It is HSV 1 and 2, herpes simplex, 1, lips, 2, genital. Here's the thing though, just so everyone knows, because nobody knows this, and it has migrated. 1, meaning if you have a cold sore on your mouth and you having oral, you can give it to them there. You can have herpes 1 on your you-know-what 2. And a lot of doctors, by the way, don't know that because they haven't looked into it recently because it's not a hot topic. Okay? But that is the truth. You have to make decisions for yourself about that. There are ways to protect 1. I do know couples where 1 has genital herpes and 1 doesn't. And it wasn't a deal breaker for that person, but what they did is this person takes Valtrex every day and so does the person that doesn't have it. And I have seen great success with married couples, unprotected sex for years. Nobody transferred anything. Okay, wow. So you've got to see what. And by the way, Valtrex, just for people who know, Valtrex is one of the most studied drugs. People have been on it for decades and decades. Okay, there are really barely any side effects to that antiviral drug for herpes. So that's something to look into. These are things that last forever. Herpes, the gift that keeps on giving. So you got to be careful about that stuff. So that's one way to do it. Now, it may be a deal breaker for you, but if it's not, you might want to protect yourself in some way. So that's one way to do it. And again, having a conversation about monogamy. You can do all the blood tests you want, but if they're out there sleeping with someone else, you've got to see how serious it is. And if someone's willing to go pay and do a do an STD test, then they're probably pretty serious about it. And if they don't, then they're either hiding something or whatever. People do give things intentionally. That's how herpes spreads. Or it spreads because someone thought they had something, they didn't know what it was, they denied it, they were in denial, and then they passed it along to somebody else. This is the story from everyone I know who has such a thing. Okay? So this is just really important. You've got to think about your health. And if you care about it, this is what you have to do. You can't just trust that, oh, they said they got tested. Even, look, people say this, oh, I get tested once a year for everything. Well, what the fuck is everything? You and I both know, Tara, that when people come to you and they're like, they come to me and they're like, my doctor says my thyroid's fine. 9 times out of 10, they never tested it right. Okay, so 9 times out of 10.
I had a client that had 157 blood sugar and just had a checkup with their doctor who told them that they were fine. 157 first thing in the morning. If for people listening, 85 would be like ideal.
157, okay? I've never, like, that's horrific.
Yeah, that's like
you're dead.
It's like diabetic ranges, and the doctors told him he was fine. Okay, so like, yeah, you got to find out.
This is important, and by the way, you can condoms don't protect it either. So sorry, go ahead.
Wait, so do you ask people for like proof? Like you ask them to show you the paper?
Now I do. Back in the day, I wouldn't, but now I do. Well, now it's more about do it together. Like, we'll do it together. Like, hey, you know what? If we're gonna do this, you know, then let's have an adult conversation. And if you get tested, and I'll show them, be like, here's my test, and I haven't slept with anyone for this long, or whatever, you know, like, right? Because it's like, you know, I can't like unprotected sex the day before and then I get tested. You know, there's windows for some of these diseases to manifest. So, you know, if you've been like a raging hoe bag, and then you're like, I'm fine. So I feel like this is just an important conversation, because how badly I can't look. Everybody I know who has gotten a permanent STD regrets it. They regret it. Nobody's happy about that. Now you're the person that has to go out and be the pariah in some senses, because you are going to get rejected a lot. That's just the way it is. It's true. Now here's the other side of that. I dated a guy who told me like 5 amazing dates, like hours long, wine and dine, really wonderful, all this great stuff. And then they tell me they have herpes on the 5th date. Now, I feel like that was fucking trickery. Okay, some people have a different opinion on that. It always almost never works out. I had a friend recently who was dating a girl. Everything's going well. It's great. And then she's like, by the way, I have this. And you're like, damn it. Dude, you should have told me that right up front. We could have alleviated this right now. But what they're hoping is that, well, they'll like me, they'll get to know me, and then this won't matter. Now, sometimes that is true. I would err on the side of not. So one time, I have in my profile like deal breakers, and I have a few things, and one says STDs. I just put it out there. I don't care.
Right.
Don't even email me if it's a problem. So then a guy wrote me back who I contacted, or he wrote me, and he's like, your profile is great, da-da-da-da. But I want to be really honest. I have genital herpes, and women have gotten really mad at me when I've revealed it like 3-4 dates in, right? Because they're falling for you. They're thinking you're great. And now you've just thrown this in the middle of it. So my thing is like, be as honest as you can up front. There are plenty of the people in the world with the same thing, or there's plenty of people in this world that may not care. But the sooner you get to it, the better. Do you want to also fall in love with someone and start to fall in love with them, and now you're getting rejected because you told them later? It's such a bummer deal.
Yeah, totally.
On both sides, it's not cool. So listen, if this is something you have, you got to own it.
Yep, 100%.
You have to own it, and don't be thinking you could just like be taking the pill and not tell someone you have it. If that's ever found out, you are a horrible person for doing that. Here's the other way I look at it too, and this is really what I tell people. When you either go cheat, like we're in a monogamous relationship, if you were to go out and do something like that, or you're not telling me something you know about your sexual health, you are not giving me the opportunity to make a decision about my fucking life, because it is about life at this point. Hepatitis, AIDS, all these things can kill, okay?
Yeah.
So I consider it kind of like cheating is like attempted murder in this day and age. It really is. If the stuff couldn't kill you in this day and age, I might have a different opinion. But stuff can kill you. Okay, so this is like a no joke situation. I've made it this long in life. I'm not, look, no one's immune to it. Anyone can have it happen to them. Don't feel guilty about it. I have plenty of friends who have these things. It's a shame you're going to have to get over, right? This is something you're going to have to deal with if this happens to you. So I try to prevent that as much as possible. But also, if you're a person that's like into casual sex and you don't care, look, you do what you need to do for you. But if you care like I do about my sexual health, then I think it's important to have an adult conversation, because all of it's a misunderstanding. Like, well, but I didn't know. I thought you got tested for everything. Well, my doctor said I did, but I guess they didn't test for her. Do you know how pissed you'd be? Do you know how it's horrible when you have been in front of someone who has just found out that this is their life? That's a horrible thing to witness. It's terrible. I don't want anyone to go through it if you don't have to. Try to prevent it. I care about and we're in the health industry too. So my whole thing is easy to say. It's like, look, I'm in the health industry. I care about this. I'm only looking for a monogamous, even if it's casual, right? It doesn't matter. But like, I'm only looking for one F buddy, or I'm only looking for whatever your thing is. And just be as careful as possible, be honest, and 100%. Don't be afraid to have this conversation and get tested. By the way, it's just better if you're starting out dating to get tested for everything so that you know your status, you've got your paperwork off the bat. Now it's just a matter of like matching it with someone else's. And I've done that before. And would continue to do it because again, even if someone's like, well, I've only had one partner in the past like 5 years. So people have herpes and are asymptomatic.
Yeah,
sometimes
true.
And can pass it, or had it once, didn't know. And so, and again, it's a hot topic, but it's something that we can't shy away from because it's awkward. Because what's worse is the aftermath of not having the awkward conversation and having something happen you don't want, if that makes sense.
Right. No, I love that. No, this isn't talked about enough, so I love that you're bringing that up.
And condoms don't protect you, by the way. Condoms do not protect you from genital warts and herpes. Look, things are smacking together down there. It's a wet environment. Let's just call it what it is. People might say that's TMI, but this is true story here, guys. So condoms do not protect from things that are shedding genitally either. So if you're like, oh, well, they used a condom, that doesn't say much. And by the way, condoms break, but even if they don't, that still doesn't protect you from all of the other things that go on. So, 100%. Again, it's just be careful out there, guys. This is a world where, listen, affect your health in negative ways that go beyond the genital region.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, great point. All right, beyond that.
Well, I don't want to end on STDs because that's a downer. That's a downer. That's not as positive. Oh, here's the thing too. Yeah, so like as you're swiping and you're going through it, you're going to get people that like you that you don't like. And you're like, ew, gross. Like, who do you think? Hey, I just breathe and go, oh, you know what? I'm flattered. Or like if you look at someone and you're just like, just be like, you know what? Right on. Good for you, man. I hope you find someone. Just put the positive energy out there. Totally. We are in the mix of the public. Look, I have a ton of like 60 plus something year olds emailing me constantly. And I also have 26-year-olds, which I'm not interested in either. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't go, oh God, all these 27-year-olds and 65-year-olds, because you can go down that road of being soured on the process because of that. And it's just like, no, you're in the mix and it's going to happen. People are going to hit you up you do not want. And that's okay. But just don't let it make you be like, ugh. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah. I think the vibration that you're on is the type of person you're going to attract. And so if you're allowing dating to like pull your vibration down, you're going to start attracting things that are lower vibration. Right. So I think it's really important. I think sometimes we may have a little bit of an edge of not taking things personally because we're inundated with feedback from people all day long being on social media and putting ourselves out there. So I think, I've definitely learned to get over that. So if you haven't been in the shoes that we've been in, and some guy like super swipes you on Bumble that you're like, as if I would ever date that guy. Like, don't. It's just like, he thinks you're pretty. He just thinks you're pretty. Just move on. Let it go.
I love that. It's because it can hit you, but if you're starting to feel that way, you just got to change your vibration. And let's see what else I want to say about this. Yeah, just asking a lot of questions. Okay, just real quick, texting and calling and things like that. I'm a big fan of letting men be men, and men like to chase. Mm-hmm. They do. Mm-hmm. That's really in their fucking nature, guys. It just is. It's in their nature.
Yep.
So I let guys call me and text me. Mm-hmm. In fact, let me tell you something. My last serious boyfriend that we dated for an entire year, saw each other every week, the whole thing, very serious, literally probably only reached out to him twice in the entire year. He contacted me I responded. He reached out every day. He called me. He asked me for a day. A guy will, if a guy's contacting you, he likes you. If he hasn't contacted you,
nope.
He's not into you, girl. Watch the movie night. Nope. He's not into you. Read the books. He's not into you. There's no question. If you're tempted to be like, I haven't heard from him in 3 days, maybe I'll just... Don't be baiting that. That's weak as fuck. That is not confident as fuck. No, seriously. You see how they are doing it now in other same-sex relations and everything. Hey, rules might be different. The rules are a little bit changed, but in this world, if you're a straight woman and this is a straight guy, You let the man lead, especially if
That's
you're an
how I feel.
alpha.
That's exactly how I feel too. And I think it's like, man, I sometimes in talking to friends or my sister, like, it's like, man, if you have to like ask for more attention, it's done. Like,
Yes.
he's not that interested. Do you want to be in a relationship in which you have to ask for attention? Oh my God. Like, no, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Like, that is a waste of your time. Because like, truly what I have learned from men is if they're not reaching out, if they're not going for it, they're not thinking about you. Their attention is elsewhere. So why would you want to be in that relationship anyway? Right. And so sometimes I think we cling to safety and we cling to the rose colored glasses and we're like, yeah, but they're great because of this, 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 and this. It's like, no, if it's even coming up that you are having issues with feeling even
Confused.
like you matter to them, you don't. Not
Right?
as much
And if
as
you're
you should.
confused, there's a reason. Yeah.
Exactly. So listen to that. And it's like, man, the excuses, when the excuses come, because like, it's like, well, he works a lot or whatever. And
Nope,
it's like,
doesn't matter.
nope,
He'll find
he
time to
will
call
make
you.
time.
They will. They
make,
do.
He will make time for what he wants. Everybody makes time for what they want. So
I want to
like,
mention a couple of good books on this. One is a great book called Why Men Love Bitches. Everybody, and now it's very, okay. Like when I first saw it, I was like so kind of offended by the title years ago. I was like, that she should be. Okay, but here's the thing: she means bitches in a totally different way. She doesn't mean naggy, nasty, classical bitch. That's a great book, and also he's just not that into you.
yeah,
Great movie, but
Yep.
it's a great book. These are things that you just have to learn. You'll go through it over time. But again, like I just don't, it's not my job to pursue you. It's your job to pursue me until we're in a solid relationship. Then I might, but even then, I let them contact me usually. And they do. And no guy likes a girl that's chasing after him. It's just like the opposite of our primal nature, guys. Like talk about ancestral. This is like so DNA. It's the one thing like we just like, right?
It is. I mean, for me, that's true. For me, that is true. I definitely feel like I like to be pursued too. I like that. I want him to take the lead. I want him to reach out and to plan things and to, do all
Court
that. Like,
you.
I like it, especially me being like, not only can I be kind of strong in my soul, but I'm also like physically strong too, like all of it, like I want to feel soft in that relationship. I want to feel cared for. I want to feel that a little bit, so, and guided and safe and all of those feelings. So I think for me, it just feels true, and I really don't think that it's programming or social conditioning, because I fight that stuff like a mother. Like I hate programming and social conditioning. I'm very much a rebel in that regard. But when it just comes to an innate relationship with a man, for me, that feels beautiful. That feels natural. And it seems like a win-win from both sides. So yeah. Let the guys lead the dance,
Absolutely. So then we could do I could do 4 more hours on this, right? But so those are some basics, but I would say try it out. Listen, Tara and I work from home. A lot of people do. Do you want to date someone in your office? Usually not a good thing. And if you're not out at bars and stuff, I'm not out drinking at bars all the time. And I don't know that I'd want to meet a guy who's out drinking at bars all the time either as my partner.
Right.
So if you're not that person, online is the best way. I had a wonderful relationship with someone who lived an hour away in a place where I never visit, would never drive through, never run an errand to. No way, no how would I ever go there. I would have never met them had it been for online, So I would give it a shot and be open to it. And again, you can get off anytime you feel uncomfortable. If you're awkward, you can post or not post. If you really want to be anonymous, get on something like Match where you can choose that you get to choose who sees you and it's only the people you contact. There's ways to do this that make you feel comfortable if you're feeling weird about putting yourself out there, because it is weird at first.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that little connotation that, maybe people who are paying for sites are a little more serious. So if you are serious, I have a guy friend right now and he's very serious and we talk about this all the time. He's like, no, that is like my number one goal in life is to find my wife. And
right.
I'm like, and that's beautiful. So that's a great tip. If that is like your number one goal in life right now.
I'm like, set me up, Tara. No, I'm kidding.
Well, we'll talk
like,
after.
Have him call me. Yeah,
we can talk after.
But he's probably looking at, again, like he's not looking on Tinder, right? At that point, he's probably not going to do Tinder because it's more of a, it's less of a pool. Although you could do all of them and you're going to find serious stuff on all of them. So
The guy who does my videos, they met on Tinder and they are married and they're both wonderful, respectable, beautiful souls, you know. So I'm like, hey, it works for some people. For me, I just didn't really appreciate getting. I did feel that vibe, that kind of the yucky vibe. I don't know how else to put it. The kind of overly sexual vibe, and I was just like, nope. I think I lasted like a day on Tinder. But yeah, that's a great. You know, if you're looking, like, find the people who are putting in the actual work and effort.
There you go.
That have similar interests as you, right?
That wrote a profile. If you're on Bumble and the guy's just like, hey, I'm not sure, I don't know, just looking on here.
And I have one picture and I'm just here to just swipe and look at you. Like, yeah, dude, you didn't put anything into that, you know? So I love it. It's like, go find the pool of people who are like you, and maybe a paid site, if you're really serious, is definitely, I'm like, that's so smart. That's a great tip, that just go check where people are actually invested. They are literally invested in it, you know, and that says a lot. So yeah, I love that. Anything else?
Well, I would just say too, yeah, if someone checked something casual and you're not looking for that, right? Or someone checked marriage and you're not looking for that, again, this is about being clear about what you want and understanding you can't change someone's perspective and being open on that, no matter how cute their profile.
There's other people who want what you want. There's other people that are okay with it. There's people who are okay if you are separated. They're totally cool with that. There's people that have STDs that they're cool with that. So just like, totally. I mean, I don't know, maybe you're not going to put that on your profile, but like,
right. And I wouldn't necessarily put that on your profile, but you know, cause you know, an employer might see it or something and have an opinion, or someone might be prejudiced against you for it. But you gotta get to the conversation at some point.
Right.
But honestly, I've known so many of those that have worked out, like with people who do or don't have it. Like, again, you're disabled in a wheelchair. Someone's going to love you. You are 400 pounds. Look, someone loves you. You got curves. Someone loves that shit, man. There are guys that
totally
love it.
Like, don't let that crumble you just because one person didn't want that. When one door closes, another opens, and it's going to bring you to a place of happiness. You want to cling to that person who barely wants to be with you because of it. They're kind of sacrificing. Okay, fine, I guess I'll. No, because there's somebody else that's like, that's seriously no big deal. That's like for me dating with kids. I've had some guys that are like, legit, Tara, it's not a big deal. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. And there's some guys that are like, shit, man, that's a big freaking deal, you know? And I understand that. And that's totally cool. And I don't want to be long-term with the guy who's saying, that's a big freaking deal. Okay. But I really like it. That's not going to be a great vibe, you know? So it's like, it's okay.
going to come back around later on. That's going to come out at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't want you to sacrifice your life for me. Like, I want this to be an enhancement to your life, you know? So, and like, I have found some people that are totally cool with that. So just know, like, when one person maybe rejects you, that it's okay. It's actually a huge service to you, because now you're opening the door to be able to find someone who is going to embrace you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I mean, I had sorry, I do want to mention one more thing too. I know we're going a little bit over here. I emailed a guy once, and he wrote me back, and he's like, you haven't, and it was like, I wrote a nice message, and he wrote me back, and he was like, you know what, your profile is so awesome. I just want to be honest with you. I like tall women, and you're 5'2".
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. Like, that's okay. Great. That's cool. It was a nice little message. He's like, I'm sorry. I get it. Like, you all have your thing. Then that's the thing too. Everyone has their preference. Look, some guys just like love Asian women, or love tall women, or love tiny women. Some guys are really big. Yeah. Everyone's got their preference. Don't be offended, man. You got your preferences too. So that's all good. Like, I was like, right on. He didn't even need to write me back, but like, hey, and like, I wasn't offended. I'm like, I get it, man. I like tall guys and not short guys. So I would have the same issue on the opposite spectrum there. And when you just talked about rejection, this is from my book, Confident as Fuck, where I mentioned about confident as fucking dating, which is, I spoke to a woman years ago who was online, and she's like, gosh, this is really tough because it's all this rejection. And I go, well, what do you mean by rejection? And she goes, well, I email all these guys, and like no one responds, and it's just like a lot of rejection. And record scratch. Hold on a second. So you're letting a bunch of strangers who you don't even know allow you to change your opinion of you. And not only that, I said to her, what if you found out that all the guys you emailed beat their ex-wife, are ex-convicts, are con men? Would you feel so fucking rejected then, or would you feel like you dodged a damn bullet? Well, the answer is you would feel like you dodged a damn bullet. So stop projecting a projection of someone else's potential opinion onto you, allowing you, I mean, do you see what I'm saying? This is insanity making. So this is not rejection. We all have preferences. Even if you're going with someone and they disappear, oh well. How do you, why are you offended by someone you don't even know? They could be like, they could have been a serial killer or have a rap sheet. Like, we don't even know these people. They might not even be the picture they posted. So let's stop getting rejected and offended at all, but also by strangers online. So you got to walk into every date. I had a guy friend who said this to me. He's like, oh, I talked to this girl. She's really great. I hope she likes me. Nope. No. You hope you like her, damn it. That's how you go into every date. It's not, I hope they like me. It's, you know what? Let me see if this person is worth my time. Let me see if I think this person is awesome. That's the switch in vibration you have to go into on a date. So the moment you have the thought where you're like, oh, I hope they like me, go, hold on a second. No, I'm here to just see if they're fucking worth my time. Are they good enough for me?
Amen. Because, and this is a true indicator of where your own cup is. Are you filling your cup? Do you have self-love? Because when you have that self-love, you're not going into it needing it from someone. And I'm telling you, like, if you, in that, you put that so beautifully, because if you're going in there saying like all nervous and apprehensive of like, maybe they're not going to like me because and I have to be perfect and everything has to be perfect, you're not going to be yourself. Your sunshine is going to be out. Totally. So as soon as you can do your personal work, do your freaking work on yourself, work on these mindset habits. And then when you come in there, you're just like, hey, what's up? This is me. This is the true me. And if you don't like me, I don't really care because I like me and I'm good without you. But if you're cool, like this might be fun. Oh my gosh, then you get to show your true self instead of this like, let me sit perfectly so my fat rolls don't hang over my pants, and oh, do I have a little bit of mascara messed up here? Okay, now you're like you're not even a human. Yeah. You're like trapped into some weird like shell of a human. So like, man, you got to work on that self-love. And this goes from, I don't care if you are like the quote unquote hottest person in the world. Totally. If you're into, a lot of times those people, the more like aesthetically beautiful sometimes people are, the more they work on that a lot because they don't feel it, so like no matter what, like if you, I don't care if you're like the hottest chick that ever walked into the room, if you're sitting across the table from a guy and you're like, I am a zombie because I'm so worried about what you're thinking about me right now. Like, you're not going to be able to have a true connection. So that stuff has to be established first. That self-work has to be done first, or you're going to just freaking spin your wheels, or worse, end up in some relationship that's totally out of alignment for you because you just wanted to receive the love that person was giving you, regardless of who they are and if they're a good match for you and if it's aligned. You're like, but they love me and I need that so freaking bad that I will go out of alignment just to get that. Oh, it's so tragic. I'm speaking from experience here.
I think we've all been there. We've all had that moment in life, and it's getting back to, like you said, the self-worth.
Yeah, absolutely. So building that first. Man, we had a lot in this.
There's a lot.
Yeah, this is a good one. Did you have anything else you want to say before we go?
We're like, we got to do like part 3 and 4 on this. No, I think I think we touched on all the main points. And listen, there actually are people out there. There's smartdatingacademy.com. I interviewed Bella Gandhi. They help people get together their profiles and figure stuff out. There's lots of people to seek out there. We mentioned a bunch of books in part 1 dating podcast last week, and those are in the notes on Instagram and should be in the notes elsewhere on some of those books. And listen, you can look up any of these authors and then look up podcasts with them. Listen to some interviews on this.
Yeah. And I'll give a shout out to Mark Groves, Create the Love. If you're looking for some advice on dating, he is amazing on Instagram. Nice. I don't know if you follow Mark Groves, but he's incredible. You know him?
Is he that young guy who's married, but he helps all these women with their profiles and stuff online?
Nope. Oh, okay. I don't think he's married. I'm not sure, but I just really appreciate his content. So he's a great one. Create the Love on Instagram. If you're looking for somebody to just follow, that's really great and teaches a lot of very like woke, conscious concepts in dating.
Yeah, and of course I love Ariel Ford, and just there's so many resources out there for people to help you, or also help you take the right photos, things like that. Like, put some effort into this. If you're, no Polaroid from 1980. Nobody's getting away with that anymore. Everyone's got a phone, so get some good photos of yourself. You know what I love? I love when I see someone who, let's say, isn't necessarily classically good looking and doesn't have a good body, but they've just got a great smile and a great shot. Like one of their girlfriends helped them out and said, Joe, let's go by that tree. And I love that when I see that, because I'm like, man, he's doing it right. That guy's doing it right. The vibe is so great. So, people can help you with this stuff. If you're a guy out there, sometimes they need more help than the chicks. But anyway, so that's all on that. I know this was a long one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap it up there. And
Okay.
again, if you guys have any feedback or any other things that you'd like us to talk about, please come visit us at kickasslifepodcast.com. You can leave us feedback and see all of our listening options there.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you next week.